Welcome to day two. Today we are going to be talking about um, how to have an unlimited number of profitable inventory items in stock at Amazon, what to be focusing on when it comes to inventory, what makes it unlimited, and how you can have that. Because obviously, we're not sending in like an indefinite number of, like an infinity number of, Amazon won't let us do that. How many do you want to send in? Infinity. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how to have inventory in stock that you can send in maybe a 30 or 60 day supply. And once it starts to sell out, you can easily replenish that inventory on Amazon so that you can continue, like, never go out of stock. You just continue selling, and you can have that set up in your Amazon business. Because if you're still just sending in inventory like one off here and there, and maybe it's profitable when you buy it, but you don't know where to find it once it sells to be able to replenish, that's a problem. It's a decent way to start as an Amazon seller to kind of get an idea of how to sell on Amazon, maybe start getting ideas of the different categories on Amazon, because each category is very different and has its own, for lack of a better word, personality, and how to handle the different categories on Amazon. Sales rank work differently in different categories, and different categories have different rules and stuff. But overall, you want inventory that you can find on a consistent basis to send to Amazon, and when it starts to sell out, you know exactly where to go to replenish that inventory. I do want to remind everyone, as always, fulltimefba.com/workbook. You want to be downloading this workbook. We've got a page for each of our sessions. We've got notes, places where you can write notes, where you can write breakthroughs, where you can write your next steps, where you can fill in the blank where with the things that I'm talking about. And so we are on day number two. And since this is called the Amazon Resellers Profit Roadmap, we have all of our titles focused on like traveling. And so when in this session, we're going to be talking about packing your essentials, how to have your unlimited inventory backpack. We're going to make sure we're going to stock up your backpack with plenty of inventory items to sell on Amazon on a consistent basis. It's not something that just with a snap of a finger. I don't think you heard that. Yeah. Anyway, you probably didn't hear that either. But it's not something where, like, boom, it's all of a sudden there, tons of inventory. It's something that you work up towards. But I'm going to walk you through the process of being able to do that. So again, fulltimefba.com/workbook to be able to get that and download that. I know Rebecca just put that in the chat, so I appreciate you for doing that. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through a few things. We're going to go through the fill in the blanks, and then after the presentation is over, we're going to be answering your questions. And so if you have questions, put them in the chat, put them in the questions tab in Zoom, and we can answer those questions toward the end of this session after the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Rebecca, if you can let me know if you see my PowerPoint presentation with the title slide on your screen. Do you see that, Rebecca?
I do. Looks good.
Excellent, excellent. I also want to let you know that selling on Amazon, it would be great if selling on Amazon was a straight line and a straight path like what you see on your screen, where it's like you just start here, you just take this straight line. No, the path to Amazon, to success on Amazon, has a lots of twists and turns and ups and downs and all of the above. But guess what? I've been there. We can show you the way. We can show you what's been successful for us, what's been successful for our coaching clients, and we can walk you through that. And that's kind of the process or the actual purpose of this workshop. It's the reseller's profit roadmap. So we're showing you the roadmap, how to go, what to focus on, which ways to go, and how to get there so that you can find success selling on Amazon. Before we get into the fill in the blank, I do want to remind you, if you are here all 5 days for this workshop, live on the Zoom calls, then you will be entered into a drawing to win a free FBA starter kit. The starter pack that includes about $300 worth of supplies that Amazon sellers usually use on a consistent basis. We're talking about an impulse sealer, which means taking, plastic poly bags and being able to seal them. closed so that it's sealed and it helps protect the items inside the bag, maybe from the warehouse or from any kind of potential dirt that might get into them. Because there are certain items that if you sell on Amazon and you're selling via FBA, there are certain items Amazon requires you to bag them up. So this impulse sealer, um, that it looks like a what's it called? The little clapper thing where it's like take two. Okay, that's not what it is. It's an impulse sealer, but you also get 400 suffocation warning label printed poly bags of four different size, so 100 for each size. So you can put certain, like if you were selling a plush toy, well, you don't want that plush toy to get dirty in an Amazon warehouse. You put it in the bag. You seal it with the impulse sealer. It's a great thing. You also get a Dymo printer, a label printer that helps print out all the labels that you put on your actual inventory items. And so it prints out with something like this with a little barcode on it. You place it over the manufacturer barcode when you send it to Amazon. And then you get about 200 actual Dymo printer labels that go along with that. So again, we're going to give this away Friday to one lucky person who is chosen out of all of you who are here all 5 days. If you're like, Steven, this is my first day here. I missed out on yesterday. Well, it is possible that even if that it's possible that not everyone's going to be here all 5 days. It's unlikely, but it is possible. And so if you're here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, then we're going to, and there's someone who has not been here all 5 days, then we're going to choose from the group of people who have been here all, at least 4 out of the 5 days. So show up as much as you can to increase your chances of winning this starter kit. Again, it's about $300 in value. We'll send it to you the day after the fifth day of our workshop. Since this is a 5 day workshop, Monday through Friday, sometime on Saturday, I will order it to send it to you if you win. If you are a U.S. resident, I want to make sure I let you know about that because international shipping is really expensive. And so this is open to only U.S. residents. So that's what we're talking about today, or that's what you have a chance to win if you're here all week. But what we're talking about today is packing your essentials. Be able to have unlimited inventory for your journey to sell on Amazon. Because obviously, if you're wanting to sell on Amazon, you want to make sure you have inventory that's consistent, inventory that will help you be able to be successful as an Amazon seller. Because if you have zero inventory, you're not going to sell anything, obviously. But we want to make sure we have the right inventory. And so we're going to walk you through that and help you figure out what to be focusing on versus what not to be focusing on. And so we're going to jump right into the very first fill in the blank. So if you print it out from fulltimefba.com/workbook, you printed it out. It's only a few pages long. On the day two, the very first fill in the blank uh, uh, answer is this: the number one way to have a consistent stream of unlimited inventory for your journey is to focus your Amazon business on replens. Replens is the name of the word. It's short for the word replenishable, and it just means inventory items that you can continually restock. So, replens is the way that you're able to uh, really have a successful business and to be able to get to a place where you're able to make a full-time income selling on Amazon, even as a one-person show. You're outsourcing fulfillment to Amazon FBA. Maybe you're able to outsource other aspects of your business. But a lot of times people are like, really? I can make a full-time income on Amazon working by myself? Yes, because it's possible to outsource to other people, outsource certain aspects. That's something we can get into later. But focusing on replens is the key to really making a full-time income. And the next fill in the blank, a replen is an inventory item that you can find again and again to sell again and again. So all four blanks are the word again. If you can find it again and again and sell it again and again, then you have found a potential gold mine because um, Most people who sell on Amazon, like when I first got started selling on Amazon, I was mostly focused on things like garage sales or the clearance aisle and trying to focus on items that I was buying on sale. And because obviously the cheaper I can buy something, the more money I can make, right? That sounds good, but the only problem is if I find something at a clearance aisle and it sells, I can't go back to that store and find it again to replenish my inventory on that because it was on clearance. The store is clearancing out that particular item and they're not going to restock that item anymore. So, same thing if you buy something that's on sale. Is it going to be on sale forever? No, usually sales are very limited. And so it's very rare when you can go back and buy that item again on sale again. Usually things are only on sale for a limited amount of time. Maybe it's because it's a new product that a store is releasing and they're wanting to get some traction to see if those items sell. And so they put them on sale. Well, if it sells, that company is not going to continue to put that item on sale most of the time. They're gonna have other newer items that they're gonna put on sale. So it's not good to find. I mean, it's good to find an item on sale to sell on Amazon for a profit, but you're not going to be able to replenish at that lower price. And most likely, even at regular price, that items might not be profitable for you. And so, if you're able to find an inventory item again and again to sell again and again, that's a replenishable, and that is something that is a game changer for your Amazon FBA business. So I'm going to walk you through my history in my Amazon account with replenishable items. Many of you heard me yesterday talking about how in 2011 I started selling during Q4, during December of 2011. And here's a picture of me and my four kids. I was a single dad, freshly divorced, unemployed, trying to figure out a way to make good money on Amazon. And I started selling on Amazon in Q4 of 11. And at that time, like I said, I focused on garage sales, clearance sales, thrift stores, places where I can buy items really cheap. It's basically the low-hanging fruit of an Amazon business. And so the only problem with focusing on low-hanging fruit, well, not the only problem. Obviously, the biggest problem is I can't restock it. But the other big problem is that's where everyone else looks first as well. So sometimes, even if I'm able to find something, it's possible I'm missing out because other people were in the store the day before and found some items that I could have found if I was just a day earlier. Or it's just it's picked over and not something that you can build a sustainable Amazon business on. In 2013, married Rebecca. She became an amazing stepmom. You can see my kid's a little bit older in that picture on the screen, and you can see that our family was growing. In 2014, I realized that this strategy of focusing on clearance items and garage sales and thrift stores, it was not sustainable. I was not able to grow my business. I was not able to scale my business. I was having to work 70 to 80 hours a week in order to make that really work and provide a full-time income on Amazon. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to find a way to make some good money selling on Amazon and not kill myself by working so hard. I just knew that was not sustainable. I needed to find inventory that I could buy again and again to sell all over and over again on Amazon. And in 2015, I accidentally discovered replenishables, items that I could find on a consistent basis, that I could go back and restock once I started to sell out of those items, and they were still there and they were still profitable. And it was amazing. It changed the game for selling on Amazon. And so, whether you are currently an Amazon seller and you are trying to make this work by yourself, and you probably realized already that garage sales and thrift stores, clearance aisles, it's not working to just focus on that. You need something else. Or maybe you are just now hearing about how selling on Amazon is even a business opportunity. Well, I want to help save you a lot of time and energy and pain that, yes, clearance aisles, thrift stores, garage sales are good to start with when it comes to learning the process of selling on Amazon. But after you kind of get the hang of that, it's time to upgrade your Amazon business to be focusing on replens. And so I want to show you how I accidentally discovered replens and how it impacted my business and how it can impact yours. And then we're going to talk about what you can do to focus on finding replens. Um, it was 2015. I was at a Walmart clearance aisle because, like I told you, I was sourcing clearance aisles because it was cheap. I didn't have a lot of funds, and I needed a way to uh, find ways where I can sell stuff on Amazon at the highest return on investment that my profit margins would be big enough. So I'm looking at a clearance aisle, and if you'll notice on the clearance aisle, there's the center column, providing support for the building that I was in, the Walmart store that I was in, and it had a price checker, a little price scanner. So I love it in clearance aisles where there are these price scanners because a lot of times in a clearance aisle, stuff is in the clearance aisle that does not have a clearance sticker on it. And I'm like, is what's the clearance price? It's in this clearance aisle. What's the clearance price? So I, use those little price checker scanners, check the price, and I'm like, okay, that's doable. That's profitable for me. I put it in my cart, or I scan it, and I'm like, okay, it's not low enough yet. Hopefully, sometime soon they'll reduce the prices because here's the deal. At Walmart and other stores that do pricing, sometimes they will update the pricing in the computer, but not update the pricing on the sticker. So even if I see something that's not profitable at 20, like if the clearance sticker says $15 and it's not profitable for me, I still scan those items with the price checker because again, it's easy to being able to update the prices in the computer, but it's hard to actually get a Walmart employee to go out and replace or place the newest price sticker over the old price sticker with the new price. And so I double check it. So I was at a Walmart and I came across this Mickey Mouse plush toy. You squeeze its hand, it sings "Hot Diggity Dog" and has some other fun Mickey Mouse sayings. And I found this item and I scanned it on my app with the barcode, and it was selling for $40 on Amazon. I'm like, all right, cool, $40 on Amazon. I'm looking for the clearance price. I'm like, oh, there's no there's no clearance sticker. And so I take it over to the price checker, I scan it, and it came up as $16.97. And I'm like, okay, that's profitable. That's really good. But wait a minute. $16.97 is not like a usual clearance price for something that's like just a plush toy that sings or whatever. That seems more like a regular price. So I thought, okay, you know what else happens in clearance aisles sometimes? Sometimes like parents are going up and down the toy aisles and without them knowing it, their kid just grabs a toy in the cart and has that toy in their hand, hoping that their mom will get it for them, hoping that their mom won't notice that they put that in the cart. And then the parent gets to the clearance aisle and they notice that their kid has this toy, and the parents just like, no, this we are not getting this. It's almost your birthday, or it's almost we're not getting this, and they just put it back on the clearance shelf, even though it was a regular priced item. This happens a lot, which is why I love that these clearance aisles sometimes have a price checker. And so I thought, wait a minute, it's profitable at what I think is the regular price. So actually, I go up and down the toy aisle. I find the Mickey Mouse, and there was about seven of these Mickey Mouse singing plush toys in in the full price, regular price toy aisle, and it was selling on Amazon for $40. So even after fees, I was making a nice profit. So I could pay 16.97. I decided to get all seven of them. In fact, I ended up spending the rest of my day going to as many Walmarts as I could because this item had a super low rank, sold a lot. It was getting close to Q4. I think it was um, August or September of that year. So I knew Q4 was coming. And also, I knew that this item stayed consistently priced around $40, and during November and December, even went up to $60. And I'm like, I can buy this at regular price and send all of them into Amazon. And when they start to sell out, I can actually go back to Walmart and restock it because that's what Walmart does when they sell out. They restock it. They don't like having empty shelves of items that are selling well. And so I realized this was an item I can replenish on a consistent basis in my Amazon business. And it was a huge situation being able to see that. And so I found that and made some really good money on that. In fact, in November of that year, my family and I we were going to Houston. We're in North Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My family's in Houston in South Texas, and so we were driving and we stopped at one of those middle of nowhere Walmart stores and loaded up. You can even see I circled them on the picture. All of the Mickey Mouse. It had a little cardboard white box that was holding the Mickey Mouse. And I bought that plus some other items that I found at the store. And so if you look really closely, you see my son Drew in the back seat. He was a big help with finding a lot of these in the store. You see Rebecca in the passenger seat being like, "Take your picture. We need to get back on the road. Come on, let's go." Because it's about a 4 to 5 hour drive from where we live in Texas to where my family lives in Houston. And so it was amazing. In fact, here's a picture of Drew helping me bring in all the Mickey Mouse plushes that we found on that trip. And I had him help us polybag those Mickey Mouses and get them ready for Amazon. And because it was November at the time, the prices were up to about 55, $60 at that time. And I was able to buy them for 16.97 each. That it was amazing. It was awesome. And it was something that was just really changed my whole outlook and perspective when it comes to selling on Amazon. And so I wanted to introduce that to you because once you know that's possible, that's what you need to be looking for. I mean, we'll go into a little bit tomorrow how to know for sure whether what you're looking at could be a potential replan or not. So be sure you come back. But replans really began to actually lighten my load of the work that I was doing selling on Amazon. On your worksheet, the next fill in the blank, the replans lightened my load because they, number one, they saved me time. Finding replans can be a little bit hard and a little bit difficult, but once you find them, you know where to go to restock them, whether it's a local retail store or it's an online store, or better, if it's both, being able to stock up on these items and be able to send a month or two supply to Amazon, and when it starts to sell out, you just go and restock your inventory. So it saves a lot of time because you're not having to source clearance aisles all the time or do garage sales, which you're definitely not going to get a replan at a garage sale. It's not like, hey, do you have any more? You buy something on Saturday and then 2 weeks later you're like, you go back to that same house, like, hey, do you still have any more of those items? No, they're not. They're going to call the cops on you. So don't do that. But it lightens your load. It saves your time. So that's number one. It saves time when it comes to lightening your load. And number two, it increases your profitability. Because again, you're not just buying one-off item here and there or two or three. No, with replens, you can go very deep as I mean, obviously you don't want to go and buy 100 if the data walks you through and tells you that it only sells $20, 20 of them a month. But you can get month supply, send them to Amazon, and when they sell out or start to sell out, you can send more in. And so when it comes to making good money on Amazon, there is an option for you. And this is what happened to me when I started to focusing on replens. I stopped sourcing garage sales and thrift stores. Every once in a while for fun, I like to go to a garage sale or go through a thrift store, but I don't make it a main focus on my sourcing schedule. I only source at clearance items when I have the extra time. Um, And so, like I told you, I discovered this replan in 2015. That was 10 years ago. Here's a picture of me and my family and my kids. They are all grown, and most of them are taller than I am. Um, and so I source replens all the time, and I only source clearance items when I have the extra time. My main focus is buying items I know sell over and over and over again. I source these items via retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale. In fact, that's the next three blanks in your worksheet. Find inventory gold mines via retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale. That's a well-balanced Amazon business. Now, I don't think anyone should start all three strategies at the same time. I would say focus on one, maybe focus on wholesale, focus on retail arbitrage or online arbitrage first. And then when you start to get comfortable with that, I'd expand to the other arbitrage. So if you start with retail and start getting comfortable with that, then expand to online. Or if you start with online, then expand to retail. But I definitely know some of you are like, I don't have many retail places close to me. That's okay. Online is sufficient enough by itself. Um, maybe when you're traveling, or maybe there's other opportunities for you to find some stuff locally retail, but also adding in wholesale sourcing. Having a, it's I see that as like a three-legged stool. Tell me what happens if you sit on a two-legged stool. Most likely you're going to fall down. You can't balance it that well. But if you balance retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, and wholesale, that is a good way to have balanced inventory sources. The second part of that fill in the blank, all three of these inventory sources can be very profitable income streams. So that fill in the blank there, income streams. Retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale can be very profitable income streams that can help you have a well balanced Amazon business. And so I call it income streams because you can actually turn them up and turn them down if one income stream ends up not being too good. Like for existence, in 2020, when a lot of people decided to stay at home, they're not going to go out. They don't want to risk for health reasons, either for themselves or for loved ones. People did they turned the income stream of retail arbitrage down a little bit and turned online arbitrage or wholesale up. Or maybe there's a time where you're just not finding much when it comes to online arbitrage. Well, you can go turn up the retail, or if you have no access to local places to source, you can turn up your wholesale sourcing. And so it's a way that you can have a balanced inventory source where you have multiple ways that you're finding inventory. We can get into more of that later to be able to balance all of that. But that really helps you have income streams that you can adjust when necessary. So when it comes to selling on Amazon, finding those inventory items that you can find again and again to sell it again and again really brings a lot more stability, scalability, and success to your Amazon business that will help you really be able to win. And so, um, why do people not do this? Why doesn't everybody just search for replens? Well, first off, it's a strategy that requires a little bit more work and a little more patience. Obviously, a walking into a store and going to a clearance item, you know those prices are going to be pretty low. Going to a garage sale, you know the prices are going to be pretty low. Um, Thrift stores, you know the prices are going to be really low. And so, you already have an advantage when it comes to that, but obviously you can't do multiples. And so people like the low-hanging fruit because it's the easiest. But the easiest has the most competition. The easiest is not going to be sustainable. And so, um, what kind of items can be replenishable type of items? There's a ton of stuff. In fact, almost anything can be a replenishable item where you're able to find it on a consistent basis and sell it on a consistent basis over and over and over again. Notice I said anything can be a replen, not that everything is a replen. We're going to get into tomorrow a little bit more of how you can know with the data or data, however you pronounce it. I usually say it both ways in the same sentence sometimes, but we're going to show you how to read the data of previous sales history, previous pricing history to know if something is an actual replenishable item that you can send to Amazon and sell on a consistent basis. So when you go to a clearance section and you find some stuff and you're able to find some inventory items, there's a dopamine hit that you get. When you're able to go to a garage sale and find some stuff at really low prices that you can sell for really high on Amazon, it's a dopamine hit. And so that dopamine hit, that rush of being able to find something, I mean, that's one of the things I love about being a reseller. There is a rush when you find a really good deal of something you can sell on Amazon. And so um, that dopamine hit, that rush of excitement is a little bit less often when searching for replens. Because if you're not looking for a replen in clearance aisles or garage sales or thrift stores, where can you find replens? Anywhere that items are priced at regular price. So retail stores, regular priced aisles, online stores, regular priced sections. Or if you're buying wholesale items, obviously you're getting that at wholesale prices, which is even lower than retail prices. And so when you it's just it's harder to find them because there's a clearance aisle. I just have to go through one aisle. In regular priced aisles, that's the rest of the store. So it takes more time to find replens, and I can teach you what you can do to increase your chances and to focus on certain aspects of regular price retail sections or online sections to find more replens. But it's more time invested up front, but that is an investment of time that will pay you back 10, 20, maybe even 100x because I have replenishable items in my inventory that I found in 2015. I found them in 2015 and they are still profitable selling on Amazon 10 years later. So it's possible for a replan to last 10 years. I've had that experience. Other replans, like Mickey Mouse. The Mickey Mouse replan lasted for about 4 or 5 years. It's no longer stocked by Amazon, or not Amazon. It's no longer sold by Walmart. Walmart came out with a new version of this Mickey Mouse hot diggity dog singing plush, and unfortunately, it's not a replenishable item. It's not consistently selling at a high price and having a low enough sales rank. But guess what? I sold hundreds, if not potentially thousands, of these Mickey Mouse plushes over and over and over again for almost 5 years. And so, yes, it's so cool to go to a clearance aisle and fill up a cart of 30 items. But guess what? You're probably never going to sell those items ever again. It's more fun to spend the time to find a replenishable item that you can buy, maybe a handful, send it to Amazon. They start to sell out. You send in another handful. They start to sell. You send in a little bit more and do that for year after year. That's where the real success in selling on Amazon. We can teach you how to do that. So, the if I didn't call it out because but I did say it, the very last fill in the blank, a replen can be anything. Don't write everything because not everything is a replen, but a replen can be anything. It can be a grocery item. It can be a pair of shoes. It could be some lotion that you put on your hands. It could be a toy. It could be anything. It can be a replenishable item. And tomorrow we're going to walk you through the steps to know how to know for sure if an item really is a replen, or you're like, is this really this is a replen right now, or this is profitable right now, but is it something I can restock on a consistent basis? We'll get into that tomorrow. We're going to change and focus now on answering whatever questions that you have. If you have questions, if you have not asked them yet, now is the time to ask them while we have time available. Ask your questions in the chat, ask your questions in the Q&A tab so we can walk through and help you understand replens, understand selling on Amazon, and this whole replen model. So thank you for listening. Rebecca, take it over with the questions that we're going to be talking about tonight.
All right. So, like Steven said, go ahead and start putting your questions in the Q&A box if you want to stay anonymous, that you'll find that down at the bottom of the your Zoom program. Or if you want to chat and make sure that you have it marked to everyone so that everyone can see your question, and we'll get going with that. We're going to prioritize questions that relate to replen since that's our topic for today. But if you have other questions too, we can do those as well.
And before you do that, I did forget to have everyone do their homework at the very bottom of
Oh
the
yeah,
page.
let's do our homework.
Yes,
We can do that.
the very bottom of the page, well, there's a notes section, but right above that it says the stores or suppliers I plan to first use in finding my own replens are what? Which stores do you want to try to go to first? Do not answer this question in the chat
No.
because you want to make sure that maybe you're the only person going to that store to try to find replens. But it could be any store that it could be a nationwide store that everyone knows. It could be a local store that's only available in your state or in your area. But walk through and think through where would you like to go to find replens? If you have never sourced inventory before, think about something you know and love. Like if you love camping and you want to look at camping gear, maybe there's a camping store that has items, or maybe you can go to a local Walmart and just go to the camping section and start looking for replens there. But I want you to write it down and make the plan to do it because just holding on to the idea of looking for replens is not going to make you any money. You need to put action steps to your plans and your ideas and walk through that. We can help you and help train you to get you improve your skills on that. But right now, the first thing you need to do, write down on your piece of paper where you're going to go, and even bonus points if you put a time and date of when you're going to go and put it on your calendar. So that's your homework for this. It's totally okay if you do your homework right now.
Yes, let's do the homework right now. We'll call it classwork
There you
because
go.
it is really important to start making actual plans. We want you to walk away from this workshop with some solid action steps for what you're going to do next in your business. And so make a decision now about where you're going to get started and write it down so that you have that sense of commitment to it.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, while everybody's thinking through that, we'll get started with some questions. Please keep those coming in the chat in the Q&A, and we'll get some good questions going here. So the first one, I have a couple of questions from two different people that are very similar, so I'm going to try to like combine them together here.
Sounds good.
So, what do you do when other sellers tank the price of your replen? And then, yeah, what do you do if the price tanks on Amazon? So like you've got a replen, you're selling it on Amazon, the Amazon price tanks, and what if you have a lot in stock when that happens?
Yeah, price tanking, and that's another thing we're going to be talking about a little bit tomorrow. But price tanking is one of the most annoying aspects of selling on Amazon because you're like, this item sells at 25 bucks and sells for $25 all day long, and someone decides to come in at $15. What is going on?
Hi.
It's so frustrating. Um, so the thing is, most likely the person who is your competitor who has decided to sell at a lower price most likely is not viewing it as a replenishable item. They might be looking at it as maybe they're new to Amazon and they're just trying to price so low they're going to get some sales, maybe get some feedback and get some momentum going in their Amazon business. And so I would just hold off and wait. I know you said you have a lot in stock and see how long until they sell out. Now, if they have got a lot in stock and you're like, I can't continue to pay monthly storage fees, then it might be time for you to decide either to lower your price to match. Although that's playing the race to the bottom, that really no one wins the race to the bottom. Um, and or you can be like, you know what? I'm just going to do a removal order and keep those items in my garage for 4 months and wait for this person to sell out. It's basically a case by case situation. But the thing is, and again, we're going to talk about this tomorrow. If you know it's a replen, it's because you've seen that in the past there's been consistent sales velocity and consistent pricing. And so you should expect that to continue. So if someone comes in there and ruins it, they're probably going to sell out and not restock at that lower price. And if because if they're, I mean, if they've lowered their price and it's still profitable for you, then I might just lower my price, and it just might be a little bit slower for them to sell out, and then you can raise your price because you're still making money. But it's kind of up to you to decide what to do with the number of items that you have in your inventory. But it happens from time to time. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too much. And so hopefully that's helped giving you some helpful ideas of how to react.
Yeah, and that's like you said, that's something we're going to get into more tomorrow, talking about how you can look at those things to make those decisions. Because there's several things that you said in all of that decision-making process that are points of data
Yeah.
that you look at when you're making your purchase decision, and then also when you're making your pricing decision. And obviously, if you've already purchased, that decision's made, but your pricing decision, you can change it accordingly. But when you make your purchasing decision, you're also looking at that price to see is there a possibility that somebody normally comes in or out of stock on this item at a lower price than it is now that I need to be concerned about? And then you were also talking about how much they have in stock. And so that's something else that you can look at before you make a purchase decision to see how many items somebody has in stock, or then if they are taking the price, whether it's one seller or multiple sellers, you can check how many they have in stock and then calculate out like how many you're selling per month. So how long is it going to take them to sell out? Is it worth it for me to lower my price or not? Those are all data points that we can look at, and we'll talk about that. That's tomorrow's session is going to be covering those types of things.
Yeah, and one other aspect is if you are an FBA seller and a competitor comes in as a fulfilled by merchant seller at a much lower price, then I wouldn't worry at all. I would just keep my price high. Most likely you will still have most of the time in the buy box. And so there's that factor as well to consider.
Yeah, we covered that a little bit yesterday with the buy box. The difference between fulfilled by merchant and fulfilled by Amazon. But one thing about the buy box is that just because you go on the Amazon product page yourself and see that a certain person has the buy box, that doesn't mean that everybody who goes to that product page sees that person, that same seller.
Yeah.
The buy box is dependent on multiple factors. The algorithm is a mystery, but there are some parts of it that we do know just from experience, and one of those is location.
Yeah.
So the buy box you see on a product page is going to be determined by where you are shopping from and where the items are located in warehouses around the country.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
really good question. I kind of led off in a couple of different
Yeah.
directions, but yeah. Do you ever stop selling a replen item? I know we were talking about the Mickey Mouse one. So yeah, we've stopped selling that one, and the reason was that our source went away.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
supplier no longer supplies that item.
Yeah, there's times when, retail source will change, online source will change, or a wholesale company will stop, continuing to create an item. So those are like, if I'm not able to source it anymore, or it's no longer profitable, those are the times where I stop doing it. But and we can talk a little bit about this tomorrow too as well. There are ways that you can set up alerts that if a replen stops being profitable, that you can actually have notifications be sent to you when it becomes profitable again. So you don't have to like continue tracking it manually. You can have alerts set up. We'll talk about that tomorrow, and if I forget, remind me, of how you can see if a replan has been resurrected. I actually call these zombie replans. They're inventory items that I've sold for, months and months and months, and all of a sudden, it's no longer profitable. Most Amazon sellers don't look into it. They just assume it's never going to be profitable again. Well, why would you do that? It used to be profitable, and so um, there is a good chance that the replan will be brought back to life and will be profitable again, and you just have those alerts set up to notify you, and boom, you're back in the game with that replan.
Yep. All right. How often are you sourcing? And when you say that you are sourcing the whole rest of the store, are you really sourcing like 300 items on an aisle?
Um, Basically, yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, maybe not the entire store. Like there might be times where I skip over certain sections, like you know, um, so basically it's like there are certain categories that I prefer to focus on first, and then there's other categories that I will get to later. But sometimes it's like even after going through like every toy or every home and kitchen item or every grocery item or something like that, and those are just examples. Then it might be like, you know what? I can actually go back and see if any of those different categories that I just looked at, maybe it's like 3 months have passed, and I can go back and look at those again, or I can do a new category. And so to each their own, and whatever, like it's a monotonous aspect. So I always like to listen to podcast or audiobooks while I'm doing that, or good music. I suggest the Full-Time FBA show. You can find it on most podcast players, and learn while you earn. So it's a good opportunity. But yeah, it's sometimes it is going through every single item. And again, it sounds boring, but it's so awesome when you're like, oh my gosh, I found a replan. I found a replan. This is awesome. And again, tomorrow we're going to show you how to know for sure if what you're seeing is an actual replan that can last potentially months, years even.
Yep. So follow-up question with that, how do you choose a category? And sorry, I keep having a thing in my throat.
Oh.
So there's a couple of different ways you could do that. One is to just pick a category that you know about or are interested in. So if you have young kids and you know a lot about the toys that they play with and the things that they and their friends think are popular, then you have kind of a leg up then in the toy and game category over somebody who might be just starting out and is like, I have no idea who these characters are on all the toys.
Right.
So you could do it that way, something that you know about or something that you're interested in. For instance, when we first got started, when I first joined the business after Stephen had already been doing it, and I joined him, I really love to read. I love to write. I love books. And so I started out focusing on books as a category. When we would go wherever we were sourcing, that was kind of where I naturally gravitated was towards books because it was something I was interested in and it didn't bore me to scan books, to scan everything on that aisle where if you put me in like video games, I would get really annoyed because I'm like, what are these? I don't know what any of this is. And so you can kind of just go off of interest or like your knowledge base, and that's a good way to get started. Um, there's also just categories that are easy for entrance as a new seller. Why don't you talk about that for a second, Stephen?
Yeah, no matter what category is out there, there will always be brands that have restrictions for new sellers. But I feel like, I mean, well, books is one that has restrictions, but it's very minimal. Usually they're education type of books. But obviously when it comes to selling on Amazon, we're probably not going to find replens in the books category. Not saying it's not possible. I mean, you can go and try to go to Walmart, scan all the books, and see if you can find a replen there that's selling for more on Amazon. But what?
I had a book replen at one point, a
Yeah,
really good book replen that I was ordering online from a niche company, and it was awesome while it lasted. Then they did a new edition of the book, and so I wasn't able to keep doing it. But it's possible. Anything is possible on
yeah.
Amazon. Like you said, anything can be a replen, but not everything is a replen. So never say never to books as replens.
Yeah, yeah. But I feel like, there, so, certain toys is where I use because kids have birthdays every single day, and then of course Q4 toys are crazy. Um, and so toys is a good place to focus on. Home and kitchen because everyone has to cook and makes food. Those are good places to focus on first. Again, you're still gonna encounter brand restrictions. During that, but those are the ones that I like to focus on first and tell people who are just starting off to focus on that. I might say stay away from office supplies. That might be the one that I say you might not be able to find um, because most likely when it comes to office supplies, like there's like a paper clip. There's not gonna be one paper clip that's selling for 40 times as much as the other paper clips. They're all basically just gonna hold your paper together. And so office supplies, but again, never say never.
No.
That you could find it, but I wouldn't say your chances are very good. They're a lot lower with office supplies, a lot higher with toys and home and kitchen type stuff.
Okay, I have one more general question about just general selling on Amazon. So this is our last call for any other new questions in the chat. Go ahead and give us those. But if we don't get any others, this will be our last one. So if I'm just starting, what software do I need to get started?
Well, one of them we're going to talk about tomorrow. So we will definitely be talking about that tomorrow. So be sure you come back for that. Um, but when it comes to um, like organizing, having all of your business numbers and information in one place and being able to communicate between yourself and Amazon in a way that's really efficient and well, there is a tool called Seller 365. And so Rebecca's going to put a link of that, fultonfba.com/seller65. It is a combination of 10 plus reseller tools under one umbrella, one low monthly price. It includes something called Inventory Lab that helps you organize your inventory, pick your prices, being able to run documents at the end of the year, run supplier profitability reports, store reports, different strategy. It helps you run all that kind of stuff, and it includes a retail arbitrage sourcing app that you can use, an online arbitrage Chrome extension that you can use, and involves a repricer. And it involves a lot of different aspects, all for a low price. I think it's like $70 a month for 10 plus tools at the same price that one of those tools used to be cost by itself. And so Seller 365 is the one that I would suggest going for, and being able to take advantage of that. So check it out. It's from a company called Three Cults, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then we're going to get into more tomorrow on looking at data and what you need for that. So be sure that
Yep,
you come back for that as well.
yep, absolutely. All right, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll send out a replay to this in about an hour or so, and then tomorrow night we're going to be getting into some really good stuff. If data scares you, you don't have to worry about that. We're going to show you exactly how to read the data, how to understand it, and it's going to be something that after maybe a week or two of playing around with the data, you'd be able to just look at it and know exactly what it says and how to read it. So don't be scared away. It's something that's going to make you a lot of money when you understand it, and we'll walk you through how to understand it tomorrow night. And so we look forward to hanging out with y'all. God bless everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.